It is now 2022 and the survival genre has been expanding more than ever. As a matter of fact, there are so many survival games available to us right now to the point where there is at least something for someone. There are titles that are more realistic than others. There is more low polished looking games for those who don't mind fancy looking graphics. But in today's video, I'd like to focus on two nearly identical titles that might appear to be the same from the outside perspective, but as you lay your hands on both of them, you will quickly realize how different they really are from one another. Deadpoly and Surroundead. A couple of months ago, you might have heard of Deadpoly. The game came up out of nowhere, and because of its simplistic look and unique gameplay, the game managed to bring a lot of hype and attention within a short period of time. It doesn't require insanely modified PC, nor it requires much storage. Despite its small map size and its extensive list of missing features at the moment, the game promises a huge potential that will bring players together once again. The core element of this game appears to be the PvP. If you're really purely enjoying raids and player versus player type of environment such as Rust or even Escape from Tarkov, this game is nothing but that. Deadpoly has gotten a very high review count simply because of its current state and ongoing support from its solo developer. As a matter of fact, Deadpoly turned out to be so successful to the point where the solo developer left his full-time job and was able to pursue this game as a full-time game developer. Pretty cool. However, recently there was a new title released to us that was using the same assets as Deadpoly, and that title is known as Surroundead. Now, there has been a huge accusation about Surroundead of using the same assets, and some turned away from this game, claiming that this is just a poor copy and paste title and offers nothing new but mimics Deadpoly. And this could not be any further from the truth. In fact, Surroundead focuses on PvE more than anything else. Think of this game as a low poly DayZ, except more PvE driven, and it offers more RPG elements as well. There's trading outposts, and the economy is going to be a huge part of this game as well. It's not to say that you can't hurt other players in this game. You certainly can once multiplayer does come out. However, according to the developer, it will not be the main focus of it. The map size of Surroundead is significantly larger compared to Deadpoly. However, as of making this video, there is certainly a lot more items available to you with Deadpoly. Surroundead already offers vehicle from the start. The vehicle system is not as complex as DayZ, meaning you don't have to look for radiator and battery in order to get it to work. However, you do have to maintain the conditioning of it and keep it fueled up all the time in order to operate it. Even though both of these titles use the same assets, they are very much different from one another. And the question is, which title is more ideal for you and your experience alone? And in order to answer that question, I made a list of things that might help you choose or simply understand the difference between the two. Just keep in mind some of these features are subject to change. If you're watching months after this video has been released, some of these things might no longer apply. Let's start with Surroundead. Bigger map size, vehicles, more RPG driven, PvE focus, improved graphics, more grindy, multiplayer is not available right now, only a single player. Different weather effects, however, does not affect your survival approach at the moment. More economy focused, very early beta. Some locations on the map are still in development, however, you can't go there and visit them, there's nothing to do. Now let's take a look at Deadpoly. It recently has received a small map extension, however, it is not nearly as large as it is in Surroundead. No vehicles. Has some RPG elements but not as extensive, more PvP focused, lower graphics, not as grindy, single player and multiplayer available, no weather effects, moderate economy system, has been around a little bit longer, therefore has more content and items available as of making this video. If you are solely driven by PvP and looking for player interaction, Deadpoly is definitely a way to go. On the other hand, if you're more like myself and don't mind waiting for a multiplayer and definitely seem to enjoy PvE a lot more, then Surroundead is definitely an alternative for you. Both of these developers are very talented and passionate about their work. I do find that Surroundead is being patched and updated a lot more frequently compared to Deadpoly. However, it's not to say that Deadpoly isn't being taken care of. Instead of releasing smaller updates more frequently, Deadpoly waits a little bit longer but then releases updates that are significantly bigger compared to Surroundead. But the biggest thing I want to clear up is the fact that these two games are very much different from one another. People who play Deadpoly and came across Surroundead are instantly thrown accusations that it's a copy and paste job, but they simply use the same assets. Surroundead is not striving to be anything like Deadpoly and vice versa. And if you're a survival game veteran, you should know this by now that it's very common when survival games use the same assets/skins. best examples I can give you would be Green Hell and Northern Lights. The gameplay between these two is completely different. It's a different approach and both of them are very different from each other, but they use a very similar inventory system. Does it make it a copy and paste job? It doesn't. And those who seem to accuse and try to throw shame on those developers using the same assets, well, they're just very new to the whole survival genre altogether. They don't know any better. If this video was helpful in any shape or form, consider hitting a like button and subscribing for future content like this. As always, I try to make videos nice and short. This was your boy Roos, and I'm out. Bye bye.